In the quiet town of Black Hollow, where the mist clings to the streets like ghostly fingers, something unnatural stirs beneath the surface. When Dr. Elias Wren, a reclusive scientist, moves into the long-abandoned Sycamore estate, the townsfolk whisper of curses and forgotten horrors. Strange occurrences ripple through the town, an eerie pulse thrumming beneath the ground, sending shivers down spines. Some say it's the house breathing, others believe it's something far worse. As the pulse grows stronger, the boundary between the living and the dead begins to blur. Elias, a man of logic and reason, dismisses the town's superstitions. He came to Black Hollow searching for answers, drawn by scientific curiosity. The pulse beneath Sycamore Estate, recorded in obscure geological studies, fascinated him. What natural phenomenon could mimic a heartbeat? What lay buried beneath the foundation of the house, causing such disturbances? With his instruments and unwavering determination, he sets out to uncover the truth. What he doesn't know is that some truths should never be unearthed. The estate loomed over the town, its warped wood and crumbling facade standing as a monument to forgotten sins. As Elias stepped onto the porch, a deep, unsettling chill seeped into his bones. The brass doorknob, though covered in dust, was oddly warm to the touch. Pushing open the heavy oak door, he stepped inside. The air was thick, the scent of decay mingling with something he couldn't quite place. The house exhaled a whisper. Just the wind, he told himself. Dust motes swirled in the dim light filtering through stained glass windows. The floorboards creaked under his weight, but with a rhythm that felt too deliberate, almost as if they were reacting to him. Elias set up his equipment: seismometers, electromagnetic field detectors, thermal cameras. The pulse was faint at first, barely a ripple in his readings. But as night fell, the sensation intensified. He woke in the darkness, his heart racing in sync with the thudding beneath the floor. Was the house truly breathing? The next morning, Elias took his findings to the townsfolk. At the local diner, eyes darted away when he mentioned Sycamore Estate. The waitress, an elderly woman with hands like gnarled roots, muttered under her breath, "You should leave before it takes you too." Elias pressed the town historian Miriam Graves for details. Reluctantly, she revealed fragments of the estate's past, a history of disappearances, madness, and something called the Hollow Ones. That night, the pulse grew stronger. Objects in the house shifted when he wasn't looking. The walls seemed closer. Whispers slithered through the halls, forming words he couldn't yet decipher. Sycamore Estate had once belonged to the Holloway family, a wealthy, eccentric clan obsessed with immortality. In 1893, they vanished overnight. No bodies were found. Only the house remained, pulsing like a living thing. Elias found a hidden journal beneath the floorboards, belonging to Henry Holloway. It spoke of rituals, sacrifices, and an entity known as the Pulse Beneath. As he read, something scraped against the walls. A low, guttural moan echoed from the basement. The pulse quickened. Elias set up night vision cameras throughout the estate. Reviewing the footage the next morning, he saw something impossible. Shadows moved with intention. A figure, faceless and elongated, loomed in the background, watching him as he slept. Miriam returned with old blueprints. There was a hidden chamber beneath the estate, sealed off for more than a century. The pulse, Elias realized, was emanating from below. That night, he dreamed of the Holloways, standing at the foot of his bed, mouths stretched wide in silent screams. Determined, Elias pried open the floorboards, revealing a staircase spiraling into the abyss. The walls dripped with a black, tar-like substance that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. At the bottom, he found a cavern filled with grotesque statues, their hollowed-out eyes weeping darkness. At the center, something moved, a mass of writhing shadows, pulsating like a heart. Then it spoke his name. Miriam arrived just as Elias collapsed, his mind flooded with whispers. She dragged him back up the stairs, sealing the chamber behind them. "You saw them, didn't you?" she asked. "The hollow ones, souls trapped between life and death, victims of the Holloway's rituals, now forever bound to the pulse." But Elias knew the truth. The pulse wasn't a remnant of the past. It was hungry. Miriam revealed the final piece of the puzzle. The Holloways had failed their ritual. Instead of achieving immortality, they became vessels for something older, something insatiable. And by opening the chamber, Elias had woken it. The town's mist thickened. Shadows stretched unnaturally. The pulse could now be felt beyond the estate. The hollow ones were coming. Sycamore Estate began to shift, the walls breathing with anticipation. The pulse grew frantic, its hunger spilling into the streets. Townsfolk began to disappear, their hollowed-out husks found hours later, staring into nothing. Elias and Miriam knew they had one chance, to sever the entity's hold by destroying its anchor, the estate itself. With gasoline and torches in hand, they set the house ablaze. The fire roared, consuming the cursed wood. The hollow ones screamed in unison, their shrieks shaking the earth. As the house collapsed, the pulse let out one final deafening beat. Then, silence. Black Hollow returned to uneasy normalcy. But on quiet nights, when the wind dies down, some claim to hear it. A faint, rhythmic thudding beneath the earth.